Look, yeah, it's that point of there's two sexual strategies. There's the investor and then there's the tester. Those are the two ways. The bad girl, the naughty boy, like they, fuck, how boomer was that? Bad girl, naughty boy. But
You got them wrong. But close enough.
they, uh, they are going through that tester strategy. They are the ones that are going to have multiple sexual partners. And you can say that on that level, they are successful. But you know, the other thing about a lot of these players, I wouldn't trade lives with them. They've had sex with a lot more
No,
women.
the stereotype. Sorry, go on.
But don't you think that after a while, I don't know, because like honestly, like I'm really retreating into the recesses of my mind to think of a time I wasn't in a long-term relationship. But a lot of the one-night stands that I had, it was kind of just like, dude, it really was just masturbating. You know, it was really just masturbating in a nice fleshlight, really. Like a lot of those sexual
Wow.
encounters with that. Some of them were like mad.
Sure, yeah. There's definitely a lot less intimacy.
And it also usually comes at a huge cost because a lot of those guys that I know, some of them are very successful and just, and again, they have that right genetic traits in line, but like
Yeah.
a lot of them, they've kind of just, at the detriment of all their other factors in life, they're just focused on that.
And that's where I would differentiate between a pickup artist and a player. Because to me, a pickup artist is someone who spends night and day studying the craft, foregoes a lot of other things that could be meaningful in their life to just become an expert at picking up. Whereas there are certain guys out there, and there's always going to be some level of effort that you need to put into it. But for some guys, it's very effortless
Natural.
in comparison. It just they can just
natural.
go out. They're naturally charismatic. It just happens.
Yeah.
It just happens all the time.
Yeah.
And sure, a lot of the control we had over sexuality in the past was basically cultural shame. If you slept around, you were a slut.
But have you noticed this though? And I think that this is very, when people always just say that, when you're in a relationship, that's when women want to have sex with you. You know what I really think a lot of pickup boils down to? And that's why it is just so linked to social intelligence. When I see a lot of guys in parties talking to women, they talk to them like they're women. There's like an agenda there. There's an agenda there of wanting to have sex, and then there's like a lot of incongruous activity that interaction when they're talking. Like they're saying one thing, but their body language is saying another thing, and so it just comes off as shifty and creepy.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But man, honestly,
there's a lot of non-verbal communication that occurs in those situations.
Yeah, I see women are sexually attracted to me usually when I'm just speaking to them normally. When you are just talking to them like you would talk to a guy. When you speak to them like they're a person, that's usually when sexual attraction happens. And so it's actually quite difficult for a lot of incels to get that idea into their head.
Right, 'cause they
and
want
dude,
it
they
so
do
badly.
it more. They want it so badly,
And
but
it
they're
comes
also just
across.
constantly projecting these things of like fembot or femoid and things like that. They're kind of just like abstracting them away from being a person. And it's because they have basically just this autistic mind that they don't see guys as other people either, right? Everything is just kind of this image in their head. It's not... They're not good at that
Sure.
trait. They're not, and that is the fundamental trait. And most people aren't good at that trait anymore. And a lot of that is to do with gaming and porn. And the thing is that like you just basically need to go out there and be good at talking to strangers. And like a lot of that after that does start to fall into place, I think anyway. And like there's other strategies and things that you add into it after that. But I really think that is 80% of the battle.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not that I'm in disagreement with you there. I think to really prove that hypothesis, like I said, you need to be compared to someone who is considered by society to be really unattractive, who does the same pickup that you do, and then see how the results differ.
I'll give you actually a really good example. Usually when I'm going to like my stand-up shows afterwards when I talk, I've got a friend who is that guy that we were talking about, naturally funny, just because he's just a charismatic dude, very happy in himself. So he's just got this magnetic pull to him. Mm-hmm. I don't think he would say this I don't think he would, disagree with this. He's uglier than I am, right? Noticeably. He's a sick dude, But like, and
The
I
way
am
you
not
said
as
that.
good as a dude. Like, I'm definitely like, the fact that I even said that proves that I'm not as good. But the thing is, like,
no one would
and
disagree with that.
I've been on stage
Don't
for
even
an
have to
hour.
see the guy. It's just
It's self-evident,
the
right?
average guy, uglier than us. And as I
Yeah.
walk off the stage at my stand-up show,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for a whole hour, it was just eyes on me.
Go
But
on,
that
go
is what's happening, right? Like, eyes on me, I'm more attractive than him. There's an entire room of adoring fans afterwards when you're just talking to the bar chicks, which I do not know why this is, but it just seems like the hottest women on earth always work at bars. I've got no idea why. They just do. Anyway, most of the time.
because the employers know that generates
Makes
business.
sense. But, like, why would the hottest chick on earth, that would be their only option? It's just like, hey, do you want to talk to a bunch of drunk guys who are just constantly staring at your tits? How much does it pay? $15 an hour. Oh, sign me up. I don't know why. Like, it's just, there's got to be things that they could be doing, right? But the thing is, those women, because they aren't fans of mine, but I'm just, like, in that room, right? But I have all the social proof that you could possibly want in that situation. I'm more attractive. He ends up usually, you know, like, the sexual attention is almost inevitably going to him. Why? Because he has more desirable character traits than I do. It's there's no other explanation.
But
for it.
again, I'm not disagreeing with you there, but you'd have to sort of to compare that to compare the degree to which looks actually matter. You'd have to have the exact same personality as him, and then you compare the different looks and see.
Right. I think in that instance, yes, I would win. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is tiny. And like the fact that there is, I don't know how many men out there now just like obsessing over that. And again, just externalizing all their problems onto this. This is the main question that I would put to you. How does that help you? How does that help you get out of your right? Let's just say that you're right? And that, like, you know, some guys are just going to be able to smash 20,000 pusses in their life and one will smash one. Why not work towards getting that one puss?
I agree. I think it is easier said than done when you're in that situation.
Huh?
Well, when you're in that situation, you've often... It's not... I don't think it might not necessarily be from a lack of trying. They probably have been rejected a lot already.
Probably.
But
But the thing is, when you see these incels and they say, I've been rejected time and time again, it's just, it's no mystery why they're getting rejected. Like, just their personality is kind of like defensive and sort like every time they kind of have like an inferiority and superiority complex working at the same time. Hot.
Okay, so I think there are what we think about when we think of the term incel, which is a guy who does blame the world and blame women for his problems. But there are also a lot of men out there who don't necessarily have that ideology and don't see women as whatever it is, the fembots, and might not even know about these websites, but they are still not getting laid.
Oh, you're talking about your engineers and your doctors.
Well, there you go. And then again, like I want to come back to what do you think? Do you think there will be any sort of detriment to society if there is if there's a large disparity between sexual success between not only just men but humans? If like some humans are just getting laid all the time and some are not getting laid at all.
Well, that's just
Because
the
it
tale
is
of
like it's
history.
an emotional.
But that's always that is as old as evolution.
Yeah, but okay, then when I would pose a question saying, do you think that the creators of religion, the writers of religion, I don't know, religious people would be like, that's God. And I'm like, yeah, all right. But the people who instilled those cultural norms of monogamy, do you think they saw that and said, oh, well, this is far more optimal for society to grow and prosper if we do culturally enforce this monogamy? I don't know if this is so contradictory to the podcast I did only a few months ago where I was like, open relationships are great. Because I'm thinking about it more on a societal level than just a personal level here. Do you think there's something to that? Do you think if you had two identical societies side by side and all that was different is that one society had the cultural norm of monogamy and then it was shamed that if you didn't abide by that, it was shamed. If you got divorced, there was some level of shame. Maybe we won't go to like Saudi Arabian standards, but let's just say Western countries before the Cultural Revolution, let's say the 50s or something like that. And then you have one that is very sexually liberal. So there's no impetus to go and get married and have kids. You just go and have sex with as many people as you want, or if you do want to be in a long-term relationship, you can do it. The point is like there's no cultural enforcement of a norm there. It's just do whatever you want. Which society, if all else was equal, I think the society with the culturally enforced monogamy would prosper more.
Me too.
There'd be issues there,
Yeah.
but it would prosper more.
Yeah. But I think that is more a case of hedonism than unfairness. Like it's just like in the one where it's just like, you know, there's just everyone's just marrying everyone else, just marrying, and that's the only sexual partner you have. Well, what else are you going to do with your life? You're going to work. Mm-hmm. You're going to like think of outside interests, and you're going to probably be more community oriented. But in the one where it's just like, yeah, just have sex with whoever you want. Well, there's an example of what that looks like. It's called Newtown, right? Like, and it's fucked.
And you
it's
know what?
A horrible place.
I was going to say, maybe the friends you have, the ugly ones that are getting laid all the time, are they generally getting laid with like hipster girls? Because, like, I think the guy that like a white North Shore girl is going to go for a very different sort of guy than, like, a hipster chick from Newtown.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
But even in the hierarchy of Newtown, there's going to be there's going to be men that are attractive in that realm, and it just depends on the culture, I guess, of what they're, like, you know,
that's
artificially
true.
being pre-programmed into. Like,
dude,
these things
but
are like...
But the culture of Newtown is drastically different to everywhere else. It's more an exception than...
Yeah. Like, you just, you know, that polyamory. But, dude, I think that all of that just comes down to excess in life. Like, it's just the same thing as just being like, yeah, you should be able to take drugs. Dude, no. Like, this is the whole point that everyone had issue with my pill testing idea. It's just like, yeah, dude, on a societal level, yeah, pill testing's a good idea. People, like, lost their shit. And why? Because they're drug addicts. When I said, like, just because pill testing should be around doesn't mean that you should be taking fucking pills. Like, those two things are completely separate. Like, yeah, it will reduce deaths in society, right? That's fine. But that is not an excuse for you to take ecstasy. I think this is the same thing when it comes to these ideas on, like, a societal level versus an individual level, right? It's just like, like an excess of drugs, an excess of sex, an excess of alcohol. There is a reason I think that religion is always just saying that these things are sinful. And it's because if you do them in excess, or even if you start going down that path, it ruins your life and you become a burden on society. You don't start contributing if you're an alcoholic or if you're a sex addict or if all you're ever thinking about is sex. It's the same thing. Like, a lot of these pick-up lives, a major reason that I wouldn't trade lives with them. I think most one-night stands in my life, at least, have just been very unsatisfying, and they're awkward afterwards as well. But then the other thing is, like, dude, their lives are gross. Like, they kind of just, like, everything just goes to the wayside. Bathing, just, like, goals in life. Their apartment is just like, it looks like a bomb hit it all the time because everything that they're thinking about is pussy. And they just realize, like, you just need character traits. You don't even need to bathe. If you're just doing doing the right dance, you can just be this, like, little bacterial mole just being like, and you will just get doing the right dance.
Well, so then that's an argument in favor of culturally shaming that behavior.
Well, that's what I think, man. I honestly think that there was some wisdom to that religious idea of it.
But we're not doing it to the extent we were.
Yeah, because there's a balance there. Because the thing is, like, what I'm saying is, you can, like, that polyamorous, you know, everything goes sex, because sex is different for everybody. I understand those thoughts. But the thing is, they come with their own set of problems. Buyer beware. Like, yes, there is problems with monogamy. There is problems with, like, polyamory, right? Neither of these things are ideal. So even if you go into that polyamorous society where everything is liberated, for that to work, everybody needs to have, like, and this is what hippies used to say when they were talking about polyamorous relationships, there needs to be a consciousness shift, man. Like, you can't just say, like, yeah, have sex with whoever you want. There has to be, like, a lot of maturity and evolution in your own thinking that comes with that.
Yeah.
But people won't do that, will they?
No.
It's like that same idea that, like, I love that Family Guy joke of just being like, the generation after the 60s, they kind of just, like, ditched the morals and kept the weed. You know, that really is the point that we're at. Don't you think?
And how damaging do you think it is? Do you think it's it's not a major factor in how our civilization will turn out, or do you think it really could contribute to?
I think it's a symptom. I think it's a symptom of the society that we are in now, which is very selfish. It's like extremely self-focused. It's like that it's the demise of all of these institutions. As in, yeah, there's problems with the church, but the point is that the church was there and it was saying there is a spiritual order and you have to contribute, and these messages were being put out in society. But now all messages are just being like, just consume, just have sex all the time, have drugs, yay. Like, dude, it's fall of Rome shit.
Sure. How would you change that?